excited in my intro that I forgot to bring you down to introduce this movie. So, well, do you have anything? Let's pretend it's the beginning of the movie and you have something you want to say.
It's funny because I was reflecting, this is 2015, which I don't know if you guys remember, but it was awesome then. As I was driving over, I was like, wow, we couldn't be living in a more deeply unhorny time. And so it seems almost like true, like you were saying, like true escapism, to be able to go up to this house that we spent 11 nights literally shooting at nighttime, and while everyone else was asleep, this is what we were doing. And it was the greatest experience of my life. I really, it was so beautiful being up there with you guys. Having children and getting married was also great. But being able to, have this, it felt like being transported to another planet. It was great.
I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for making work that is as ridiculous as what's happening in my head 24/7. And I think you're the funniest people alive. Okay, let's start. So you can clap for that. You clap for that. I want to start. So when I saw this, I had a 3 and a 6-year-old. So it really hit for me. And my husband's here and he can totally attest to that. But when I met you, which was probably right after the movie came out, I was utterly flabbergasted to hear that Patrick had not had children yet. Had not been raising children in the city of Los Angeles. And we kind of had this conversation before, but we always get interrupted. So now, will you tell me, where the fuck did this thing come from if you didn't have kids? And also, that extends to all of you guys. Naomi, all of you guys, what, were you just yes? And how did you all come together?
So Mark and I had made this film that eventually became the movie Creep together. It was called Duplass at the time, and it really didn't work, and I was really nervous. And it was just, at the time, it wasn't even a movie, it was just this thing that we had to go work on every 2 months, doing these endless reshoots, and I was acting in it, and I was super self-conscious, so it was kind of this psychotic, also having to tell my wife, yeah, no, I think it's gonna be great, no, I don't think I have to get a real job, I think it's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna work. And it was during that time that Mark was, producing these films that were being made for extremely low budgets and being taken to Sundance, and he said, if you come up with an idea that is something that would be done for a very small amount of money, and it's 4 characters in a house, what could it be? And so it was sort of taken from there. It was from those constraints that this came from. And it was less about children for me and more about being a transplant to Los Angeles, like most of us are, and just walking into this kind of alien world where there's this assumption that everyone else is cooler than you, and it was sort of taking that feeling and taking that, what if I took that feeling of insecurity and just put Adam Scott through the ringer and Taylor obviously, but yeah, that was sort of the gist of it.
And then where did this cast come from? This amazing.
So Naomi came to one of the first test screenings of Creep that we had, and that's where we first met. And she watched that movie and gave us great notes. And I think once we had a script, we brought it to Adam and Naomi together, and we're like, is this something you'd like to do with us? Because they were just starting their production company.
Yeah, we were very new, and we were looking for something. I think we had talked to Mark. We really wanted to. We'd been doing stuff for Funny or Die and Adult Swim, and we were ready to tackle a film, and we couldn't have asked for a better inspiration than Mark, because he was like, I know how to do this, and you guys can totally work together. It works.
It was such a beautiful partnership. I remember when the two of you came up to the apartments that you guys share, which is in Los Feliz was the old Duplass brothers office, and we started talking about it. We're like, well, one of the couples like shoot here, we do that, and you're like, I have this friend, this house, like we do this, and I was just like, I immediately knew you saw it the same way, because I always felt like a little insecure trying to ask someone who's like already has a foot in the industry and is successful to like come make like $100,000 movie, because I'm like, well, they're not gonna want to do this, and a lot of people think they want to do it, and when I tell them what it is, they're like, ooh, I don't really want to do that. And we met, and they were like, fuck yes, this sounds like exactly what we want to do. So it's like immediately.
And to be clear, Naomi's credit as producer, but she was also the line producer. She was also the script supervisor. She was also the first AD. All of that stuff.
Take the wardrobe, the bathing suits, and the lingerie, and wash them.
Yes. Which at the time, like, I never made a normal movie before, so I didn't know those positions existed. And once I did start making normal movies, I was like, oh my god, you're here keeping time? Naomi doesn't have to do that?
Yeah, I think including actors, it was around 17 people on set. It was small.
Yeah.
How did you not lose your shit?
I'm so loud. I don't need to. How did you not? Can we back up and your first reactions to reading this thing, and how much was on the paper, and was there? Because I cannot imagine 4 other people being in this movie. I mean, I just can't.
Well, I really liked it.
First of all, Taylor admitted to me that she didn't remember making the movie.
For like 10 days, so.
Like the whole time I read it, like I didn't really know what was going on. I still didn't really know what was going on when we got there.
But I thought it was really exciting, and it was really not like things that I had been reading, and I thought it was so funny. I thought it was so funny. And I was such a fan of Adam. I knew the whole, and Mark and Jay, and yeah, it was really just exciting.
It was cool to see what you brought from the improvisation side of things. I knew Adam was gonna be able to do this. I had seen Jason. You had talked a little bit about like, I don't know, like, and
I was so scared.
well, there was a full script. Like Patrick had written the full script, but there's a lot of gems up there that came. I mean, quite a few, and you were a big part of that. So.
Jason. Yeah. Get in there.
Huh?
Get in there. Tell us what you gravitated to the most when you read this thing. Was there a moment where you were like, I'm in, I'm doing it?
Yeah, I'm a slow reader. And I remember I got it was weird, 'cause remember
We saw each other.
yes, we saw each other,
At the gym.
at the gym. Like I never,
It was a gym. Yeah.
yeah,
It was a gym. Yeah.
What's up with this gym?
That was weird, I mean, that was
so strange.
yes, it
And that was
was.
before you were doing, or was it the day?
You said there, oh my god, I can't believe I'm seeing you right now because there's a movie that
Yeah.
you told me about it.
Yeah.
Basically, and you were amazing. And so I thought, obviously you're amazing, and it was great. That's a big deal. And, you know what I mean? When the first person you meet and says, I'm involved, I'm working on something, and they're great, and you can tell they're a great person. I know that sounds maybe cheesy, but that's a really nice way to meet a project and an experience. And then I got it, same an hour, I'm still in the gym, but I saw Adam's name on it, and I mean, to me, Adam's like the greatest, actor, and I love everything he had done and still does. and the idea of getting to work with him was pretty crazy and pretty bonkers. But I'll wrap it up. I remember there was I had to read it, and there was a time. It was a time crunch, and so like, can you read this and get back to it? And I read it, and I just couldn't believe that this opportunity to be a part of this, and Mark, who I love, and it was just like I couldn't believe it. I was reading it, and I loved it, and I thought it was so funny. And I remember Adam, we talked on the phone. I was in like 3 pages, not even 1 page, 3 pages 5 hours later. But I loved it, and I loved these characters. I loved this relationship, and I just thought it was beautiful. And I hadn't actually completed it. And Adam talked, and we talked on the phone, and I was like, I'm in. And he's like, "You're in?" I'm like, yes, I am. Let's go. He's like, because we start in a few days. I'm like, done. But I hadn't finished it. I mean, when I did, I was even more happy. But it happened so fast. I've never been a part of something that happened so quickly, and it was like a river that just was like a lazy river that was like, you want to get on there. And I couldn't believe there was an interview for me. And then I met Patrick, and instantly, it was just like, I felt so, I loved Patrick instantly. I still
I love you too.
but it was like, I couldn't believe we didn't know each other, and his laugh was a wonderful thing. And I thought to myself, well, if you're asking for me to go for 10 or 11 days and hopefully hear this laugh, I would love to be a part of something.
Adam and Taylor, you're on set for 11 days. It starts with one of the most amazing, hilarious scenes, but it's also real. That's real. I mean, any adult knows that's real. Shit, now I'm hiding. Can you guys talk about not only building the relationships, but for all of you on a set that small in that short period of time, building those relationships to be so real, because the thing feels so real, which is why it's also so funny, in addition to another thing which we'll talk about. But so building those relationships and building that humor, and then I really am curious to hear, especially you guys who were not on camera, how the hell did you control yourselves? How did you keep that laugh inside of you? Because it is a unique laugh.
Yeah.
That was a lot of, I don't know, just do it.
I mean, there's takes that are blown from laughing. When the guys were shooting the scene with the butthole paintings, there's a take where our camera operator, Scott Johnson, who's like an amazing camera operator and a very serious guy, is laughing so hard that the camera is shaking. But I don't know, it's like one of those things, like we all had conversations beforehand and we sort of talked about the tone. I think it was like in the script to a certain extent, but also there was just this, I don't know, there was just kind of this understanding with all of us that we had a very short amount of time to do this thing. And I trusted all of these people's tastes implicitly. And, it's like one of those situations where the casting really was the rehearsal. Like we didn't rehearse this movie, we just sort of went off and did it. And, I'm sorry Judith can't be here too, but she's like the total wild card in the situation because what you see on screen is Judith. And so that also in this mix was just a total roller coaster. And just like, I don't know, that was a blast.
I mean, we didn't have time to rehearse or anything. I just remember this sort of, I remember the first scene we shot was the scene where we walk into the house and Jason is teaching French and Spanish. And I remember, because we we didn't rehearse, we just all met each other and then just started, and so we didn't, and we had like 10 or 11 nights there to shoot the movie. So we just didn't quite know like how this was gonna go, but I remember the moment Taylor and I walk in and see Jason stand up from the table, and what do you say to us? You say like, Bienvenidos, everybody. And talk about, oh, we have a delicious situation going on. I was like, oh, we're gonna be fucked.
Yeah. No, I remember that, and we shot that kind of water scene with Jason at the very beginning, and I mean, I was laughing through a lot of this movie, and it's up there. I just kept laughing at you. And I feel like one of the things we talked about, or maybe we talked about when we had that lunch, is that, and I saw it, and I think it kind of like, it's a beautiful thing that how much these two people love each other and really care about their relationship, and everybody really cares about these relationships, and I just think that's such a beautiful underbelly for all of this stuff happening on surface. Yeah.
It's really sweet. The thing that I, not having seen it for 10 years, I think the starting out with this, by the way, I don't know if it was clear, but the apartment that we live in at the beginning was the Duplass brothers. But the relationship between the two of us was so sweet because there's this, and Patrick really kind of deftly establishes the trust between them too, because this whole thing about how you have to go work, and so I go to the park, and it's almost like a little hint of, oh, okay, well, what's she gonna do? But there's nothing, it's all just love and support there. So we get this real sense of safety and security before the real story begins. It's really lovely. I never quite, I don't know, I never quite got that before.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pull it off so well, and your chemistry is amazing. I mean, a big part of that for me was just like finding, like, with a lot of modern comedy, like whatever drama is like interjected in there, like for the most part felt false to me, at least from my own experience, you know what I mean? And like I don't like it when I see characters being mean to each other for no reason, especially in a comedy where it's supposed to be this like inclusive thing. So for me, if I was gonna show a relationship, like I wanted to show two people who like maybe had some issues, but like knew how to communicate with each other for the most part. Like that was interesting to me, and yeah.
I also, Naomi, you hit.
This might be off topic, but what I'm gonna say is one of the reasons they think the relationships work so well and form so quickly in advance of shooting is that when it's done right, and this might be an extreme example, but independent filmmaking is about relationships, and it's about being, Teresa Kulisarian, for instance, is our production designer extraordinaire here.
By the way, Teresa, she hired someone to paint those Bible paintings that fell through the night before. She stayed up painting 25 to 30 Bible paintings.
For those who didn't catch it, there's one of the originals in the lobby. Bidding starts at $1 million. The whole movie like centers around those paintings. When Patrick and I started talking about this story, we went up to the Creek cabin in Crestline where we shot Creek, and we were cracking the story. And it was like I was watching Patrick become a master screenwriter right in front of my eyes and seeing all this stuff. And I remember he came up with a butthole painting idea. And I was like, there's gotta be a name for like the series, and we'll figure that out eventually, thinking it would take us like a week to get the joke. And he was like, it's called Portals. It's called Portals. It's like, now my son, I have nothing left to teach you. You go, my son.
I got kind of drunk last night and wrote these questions while I was watching this, and it just says
Portals and dicks.
So, well, we already had portals, we'll get to dicks. Naomi, I totally agree with you, it's about these relationships. And one thing I'll just say, I always have such deep appreciation watching this movie that even though like Jason and Charlotte, Judith's characters are sort of like a bit of a stereotype, kind of based in some reality in my experience of parenting in LA for 15 years. But there's never any cruelty and there's never any judgment. I mean, it really is a very kind and considerate portrait of people who could easily have been made fun of in a way. I do really need to know the bedtime scene. Again, I had a 3-year-old at the time, and I was like, where is Jason Schwartzman? Make him come to my house and do this. It's one of my favorite scenes in modern cinema history.
I think Naomi and I really fell asleep during that scene. Because we're all in this room, in this little bedroom up in this house, and Jason's playing piano for all of us, and Teresa's set up all this shit, like the dehumidifier and the light, solar system machine, and it was the most calm, just sweet, like it was meditative being in that room.
Adam and I kept that light machine, and our kids went to sleep to it for years after.
I wish I had this movie 3 years ago. I also want to mention Sparks. This comes from knowledge. My husband is a great music supervisor. We contend that the needle drop in that scene is one of the greatest needle drops.
Well, that's Julian Wass. You have Julian Wass doing the music for this movie. That needle drop is really expensive, and Giorgio Moroder produced it, and so you have to pay Giorgio Moroder as well as Sparks, but they gave us a discount. So.
Is that what I don't remember, but is that what we were dancing to on the set too, or?
I don't remember what we were dancing. No, we were not. No, I don't know what we were dancing to.
It works so perfectly because it is the transition into when that movie goes from like, I'm not sure where this is gonna go to, I want to fucking party with these people.
The one thing I will say, now that we're mentioning Julian Wass, who did the score, he did a lot of the original songs for this, and for those of you with a keen audio ear, I think you'll probably sense that we were temping with Lady in Red after the pool scene. We're like, we're not gonna be able to fucking buy Lady in Red, and how do you recreate Lady in Red? And Julian was like, hold my beer, and came back 48 hours later with a track called Chardonnay Eyes.
By an artist named Cyril Beaumont.
Yes. And the first lyric was, your Chardonnay eyes remind me of Ibiza. We were like, we don't even need to listen, just lay it in. That was ready to go.
I also did the party anthem that Jason and I do our dance to.
That was by the Two Large Whopper Boys.
Nice vocal right there.
Yeah, I'm one of the Whopper Boys. There's Julian.
You guys, I've run out of things, so we're on dicks. And on a serious note, as a person who has watched the whole of history, I have things on my body that are often the butt of a joke in a movie based on their size. I want to sincerely thank you for being the first, I believe, movie to flip the script, as they like to say, and allow those of us who have been watching movies about breast size jokes to make some dick jokes. So I want to thank you. Really, truly, I don't think there's another movie that I've ever seen that play out in.
Where it's the central plot point of the movie. No, I haven't seen that.
Pretty much. So maybe speak of dicks.
We do have an extensive email chain, by the way, of Mark, Patrick, Adam, and I. And it's so nothing we can ever share.
No, that was 2015. Oh no.
Oh my God.
I don't even know
know what I'm opening right now.
Yeah, but you also know what you're
I know
opening
what I'm
right now.
opening.
It is upside down.
Wow. Guys, that's what happens after it goes to the pool. Hold up. There's something.
Mine's
I
fun.
think that's it.
Yeah.
There's another one.
Is there a big one?
There's something else.
Is there something else? Is there like a trap door?
I think that's it.
We want the big one.
There's another one.
This feels like an elaborate prank or
Oh,
something.
no, there's
Yeah, just flop it a little bit. Right? There it is.
Get in the pool, okay?
Yeah.
I do have a strong memory of Elle, Federal, and Darby working with Jason, hair and makeup, they're amazing. Applying the prosthetic, and you had brought your guitar. I don't know if it was a distraction or just entertainment while it was being applied.
I'm not like a, I'm not like a new, I'm not. It was really scary for me to do this. Everyone was so welcoming and so sweet on the set. Like, I'm not a, naked guy all the time. But yeah, I don't know if the guitar, but I felt at home. I mean, it was, yeah. But it was crazy how, like we say in the movie, like, hey, 24 hours ago, it was like 36 hours ago. I didn't know about this, and now I'm totally naked and doing this. And yeah, I remember the Marco album had just come out, and I was listening to that. Just listening to that, like, wow, popsicle. It was really fun. I'll tell you. Can I give you a for the Dick's part? Can I take it? So yeah, we all handle it in funny ways, but I definitely was like, so I got this prosthetic Naomi, and I was trying to get comfortable, and I took a bunch of photos in the mirror.
Yes, continue.
It's not good.
You haven't told us.
Well, okay. So I took all these photos just because I'd never experienced anything like that as a fan of movies. So it was a new experience. I had prosthetics. And so I had all these pictures, different angles, and anyhow, so we shot this movie at night, and my daughter was in preschool at the time. And so my routine was that we would work through the night, and then I would get home just in time to take her to school. It was like perfect timing. So I would get home as the sun came up, make breakfast, and then I would take her to school. And I remember, and we had just had our second child, I believe, around then, so I took my daughter to school, and I happened to walk past the principal of the school. Great person. And she stopped me and said, "How's everyone at home? How's the baby? How's everything?" And I said, "She says, do you have, can I see your Exactly as you imagine. I took out my phone and I, yes, look at this. And but 45 minutes before I was doing that, that night I was taking all these photos of this, and I'm sitting here like this with her, and I'm like, so here, and I pull up my phone, and there's a photo of me just like.
She certainly has a great story.
I never knew what to say, and then I was like, yeah. But that was the crazy thing. And the other weird thing, very as full circle as it goes, is then the same daughter of mine, as she grew up, became friends with a girl who now lives in that house that we shot. And I went to pick up my daughter from a sleepover. Yes. And this gate looks familiar. And literally, I walk in like, this fucking house we shot. And she's like, hey, come on in. You know the house, I think. And I knew we were gonna. It was so crazy. Like, they had slept in sleeping bags in the portals. It was just so bizarre. And then my dad was like, "What? You know the house?" And I was like, "Yeah." But not good. This is now a different home. And literally, she's still going to sleep over there all the time and sleeping. And I don't go in the front. I don't want to go in the front. I don't know why. I want to leave it. It's our house. Someone else's house, but it's just very weird. Like to drop your daughter off with actual sleepover at the house. It's beautiful, and I love that's Hollywood too. You know, I love that.
I've run amok. I would like to hear if anybody has a final last thing they would like to share with the audience, a story, a memory, a love letter to your fellow cast and crew, anything you'd like to share. And then we're going to wrap it up, but I really hope we get to do this again. I think for my sanity, we need to do this again another time.
We'll see you all here.
I remember around the time it came out, we were talking, and then a few years after, we were talking very lightly, but truly talking about kicking around the idea of a sequel. We were thinking like we should do 10 years later, but obviously that's not ours. But I don't know, it kind of feels like it could use a sequel.
There's some loose threads. It felt unresolved for sure.
So many questions left.
I want to just say one thing is, someone who's just the producer on this and to just our cast in particular. Well, I haven't watched this in 10 years either, Adam. And watching the brilliance of how they took the script, which was great and really solid, and added these little flavors. I mean, Jason made Kurt so sweet and lovable. That could have gone douchebag so quickly. The epitome of it, when he was just I was just dancing with you, man. It's just that was an improvisation, his thing. And Taylor could have made this into a classic True Wife thing. And just and she layered and laid this invisible track to the moment in the bathroom when you're oh fuck, she's the one. It was so subtle and great, and Adam, you could have gotten stuck in straight line hell on this thing. And how bringing the comedy without bringing the zany, and the way you would almost like Legos, you would take the dialogue and move things around and make them funny. The epitome to me of that is and now I have this dick from middle school on my body. We're not that good at writers. This is Adam and his element doing this thing. So God, you guys are we're so lucky. So lucky.
I will say that I remembered there being more improvisation or something. I was really there are little things here and there, but I was also struck tonight at just how great the script is and how much of the movie is scripted and how structurally sound the movie is, and that's all because of Patrick's script, and yeah, we improvised.
And Chris Donlan, our editor, who he does all the video.
Wow. Well, you know, I admired everyone coming into this so much. I mean, and I proselytized to Jason Schwartzman at the gym. I mean, I was so excited to possibly be working with him. And this, you know, I may not remember much, but I do remember this feeling of feeling so safe and even kind of like meet your heroes in my mind, because everybody made me feel like I could really play and it was safe. And I'll just always remember this as one of my favorite experiences. So yeah.
I've been 3 times to watch this film with an audience at Sundance. That was the first place, but doing it again tonight reminds me of how special it is not to see any, let alone any movie in the theater, but something like this where you're just like, uh-oh. It's happening, it's uncomfortable, but you feel everyone's energy, and like that to me is, I mean, this is such a gift tonight. So thank you, Vidiots, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
I won't blow smoke, but I was tonight. I was just so moved by this relationship, and the way they love each other. I mean, that's a really, those 2 people. That's a good couple. And I would love to see it done together. I think they are. I think like the way you guys communicate, and Adam, you know, both of you. I mean, just each. I'll say for just. Like Taylor, that is, as Mark said, that is like crazy hard to do what you did. I mean, that is like impossible to do what you did. And you like were aware, but also like letting it. You loved him. You loved it enough to let him. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna. Yeah, and it was just like. I was saying to Adam, it's like funny because I feel like you guys are such great communicators throughout the film, and yet there's one big thing you don't communicate about. Okay. And I was like, it kind of hit me that like, you know, that just because you can be, you think about things, and you can communicate, and you can be giving all of yourself and loving and nurturing, but there's always more to discover about the people you love, and like it's a beautiful thing. Like give them like to watch this relationship play. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, like to me, this movie feels like it could have been made yesterday or a long time ago or in the future, because it is about 2 people that love each other, and I think that to me is like that's never gonna change. That's never gonna die. You know what I mean? Like everything else, you know, like can I see this? Like this hat. Ridiculous. To me, none of that. It's like really about these 2 people that like need this night, and need this night, and like it's fucking like insane. Like it's a profound night, and they really do like get to this moment where I think their lives are going to be even better. Yeah. And their child is going to be great. You know?
What a beautiful person. Thank you for that. And I also did want to thank Vidiots, but I wanted to say before we all leave, we were considering doing this as a midnight screening because, you know, it's fun, it's late night. The reason we did this at 7:30, because you're all out there, the night is young. There are couples sitting next to you. You didn't meet in the park, you met at a movie theater. Why the fuck not? What are you waiting for?
The bar is open. The bar is open. Here's what we're gonna do. I also wanted to say thank you for making such a beautiful movie about the City of Angels. You guys are gonna stay seated for me. We're gonna get these fine people where they need to be. We're gonna clap and cheer and scream for them on their way out. Then you guys go to the bar, listen to Mark Duplass. Come back to Vidiots. Lots. We do this. I don't know how our staff does it, but we do this every night.